And we are back. We are back. We are back. We are back. I wasn't able to shout out the people on the Instas. So if you hear, I mean, I guess my Twitter game is strong to some degree. But this is episode, I think we had 34, 33, 34. I don't know. But we here. It is the Lyrical Ones podcast. It is Wednesday, January 20th, 2021. The year is 2021. It's a Wednesday. It's a Wednesday of significance for those of you in the international audience. This is the United States, and something took place today. So, with that, as we see for those visual learners who like to see the visual representation, Alfluent right now is doing the essentials and the necessary thing of eating. So let's interrupt that and be rude and ask him, Alfluent, how are you doing? For those that can't see, he's chewing. He don't want to make no noise of chewing, but it's all good. Talk with your mouth full. We people.
We are people, and I'm doing great. Um, I'm filling up, fueling up, so things is cool. Um, I happen to be broadcasting from the United States today. Um, excuse me. There we go. Let the air pockets out. Um, yeah, it's a great day. It's Wednesday. It is 2021. Got to practice saying that. 21, 21. Um, shout out to the MC by the same name, same number. I'm waiting for 21 Savage to be on Sesame Street one time though. Real talk.
I agree. I
They always
concur.
do the 1 through 12 song. That was always about one. But when the when the episode is brought to you by the number 21 and the letter G, I'm a I'm a I'm a be there. I wanna see that. I'll be anticipating that. Uh, and in other news, got the first female vice president sworn in today. Got a brand spanking new old white man as president. Um, number 46, Joe Crack. Joey Crack is in the building. Um, he's instrumental in the war on drugs back in the day. Uh, Kamala Harris is, from California and is instrumental in putting a lot of people of color behind bars. Uh, I think I was a little late on Twitter. Twitter you kind of supposed to be got to be quick sometimes, but on Twitter, you gotta let people know what's happening. And it's day one. Got a lot of executive orders in, and I was trying to get my cynicism out, but I still got a little bit left, especially since I just ate. So grateful to God for the provision of food, but also when you look at how many people been put in jail by this administration combined versus the previous administration. The one right now has got some numbers on their books, um, and they only in day one. Um, so it's interesting to see, how things go uh, this time around for Joe in the White House. Um, Joe and Jill, plan those things, guys. Got to have foresight about the names. You got to say, is this name go work on the campaign trail? Uh, Plan those things out. Those first names matter. If the name don't ring, somebody got to change their first name, go by the middle name or something. Martin Luther King did it. He wasn't playing. So in the wake of Martin Luther King Day, where we see companies, just tossing quotes out there while, they don't necessarily practice some of you know, the beliefs and morals that the man stood by. Folks like companies like Disney, quoting MLK and treating John Boyega as a downgrade. Um, some of the other characters of color, giving them a downgrade because they worried about the backlash from having lead, characters who are people of culture. Uh, and it's a great week. Things just, those days where you ate a little bit and whatever you was feeling just kind of gets on off you a little bit. It's a little bit easier to get the dirt off your shoulders. Um, so yeah, I'm in a great mood. I'm happy to be here on the Lyrical Ones podcast. It's a it's another great Wednesday, that we're wrapping up. And before we get to the inauguration drip of the day, the inauguration swag that we got to see, Sineo, how you doing today?
I am doing great. I'm doing great. Can't complain. Um, just want to say text 415-903-7699 to get connected to the Discord community. That is the Lyrical Opposition / Lyrical Ones family. Get connected. 415-903-7699. Um, yeah, you know what? Like, I'm thankful. I'm exercising gratitude. I'm exercising a level of appreciation. I think it's necessary. I know you thankful. You got the guacamole going. Like you ain't even mix it. You just straight guacamole. Like understand healthy fats and nutrition. Alfluent right now is just killing the guacamole. So, but in that sense, I'm great. I'm grateful. Like I'm very thankful. I'm appreciative. I'm realizing my place right now in the universe, and I'm super appreciative of it because I can see what's going on around me, and I empathize and sympathize with what's going on to those who may be in, harm, may be going through struggle, may have their own stress, may have their own challenges and barriers. And I remember what those days were like. It's not to say I'm away from them. It's just I have a better way of dealing with them and working with them. If anybody follows me on Twitter, you see I be having my subliminals all over the place, and those are responses to what's going on in my life. Those are inside little thought bubbles of my reaction to what I'm experiencing, and I'm at every interval as I grow as a person who's made mistakes and will continue to make mistakes. I'm trying to make new mistakes, and I'm ever thankful for the like I say it because I want people to feel welcome here. Like I'm the non-Christian, right? I'm like the non, like you can't put me in any category or any doctrine or under any specific philosophy. I'm accepting and I am learning and I'm growing and I just take in what I can. And I'm saying that because we in a time, for myself especially, of extreme transformation, but more for me, acceptance, right? Like I accept the game, I accept the rules of the game, and I accept what is my role in the game. And when I say the game, I'm talking about life, right? People say, "Oh, life's a game." To some degree, it is, right? Like we live in the United States, we live in a state called California. We are existing within the Bay Area, which there's the .com kind of tech Silicon Valley aspect of it, right? Like we're a metropolitan area. We're known for liberalism. Like it's a lot of different components, and I accept that that's what the game is, right? I accept that those pieces come with it, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to learn how do I maneuver through this game and get my piece of it. Like we understand multi-generational wealth, so that's where my focus has been a lot this past week. Yes, inauguration. Yes, there's a changing of the guard, but more personally, internally, I gotta really take care of my mind and my body and my soul. Like my energy, right? Like what's my contribution to the world? I work in a community and I'm trying to maintain sustainability amongst every moment where I'm like ready to just throw up some middle fingers and chuck the deuce and go out the door. So, you know, I'm exercising gratitude and being thankful for what I do got. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So it's that's where it's at right now is gratitude.
I
And I
feel it.
think that that's what I'm exercising.
Yeah, that's a good muscle to grow. That's a good practice to repeat as often as possible. That gratitude. Yeah, it's all real interesting. Like when you talk about the game and like what it means to kind of like redefine like what a win is in your day, what a loss is, because when you grow up being sold, being told that, the only way for you to level up, the only way for you to win is, this, and this. And a lot of times it's this external growth or acquiring, um, and leaving some of the things that happen internally behind. And I think when you get a chance to take care of yourself and do work on do inner work on yourself, and then come back to those things as far as materialism, capitalism, you know, healing even financial wounds um, that we incur from, like, just from previous generations, and the scope or perspective or relationship we have with finances and stability and what wealth means to us. Um, like we talk about a lot of times, like, oh man, well, I wanted these shoes because it gave me some sense of value, or I wanted this car, I wanted this chain, and not knowing that there are so many things that historically were created by people of color, not because of excess, but out of need, like a need to express through color, right? A need to create with the environment around them, and then a desire to honor and pay tribute to previous generations, or pay homage to the growth that was happening within a community. um and we, like, when we talk about just like the gold fronts, right? It's like the history behind, you know the metal. It wasn't always about whether you had missing teeth or not. Like, they were signs of growth, they were signs of wisdom, where folks would replace a tooth with gold as they gained in wisdom. And it's switched around for a lot of people in popular culture, to where they're not even aware of the history of it, not even aware of, what it means to them, or its importance outside of a flex. And it's wild, because it's still something that was taken by a system, taken from a people, taken from history, and switched up by a system to again distract us from within, right? Keep us from remembering, you know, our own identity. Um, and when you talk about that generational wealth, it's kind of, again, you taking back your identity and choosing for yourself that agency to say, this is who I am, this is who my family will be, this is who my family after me, my descendants will be. To even be thinking about descendants, right? Thinking about grandchildren, great grandchildren, um, like, that's counter to what society will have you do, where, popular terms like FOMO, um, or YOLO, or, fear missing out, or you only live once, focuses on what's happening now, what's happening around the world, what's happening in popular culture, and, what's my role in becoming, a part of that event. um, and it really plays out in our engagement in news and news cycles and events. It's wild, because, like, I really teared up and shed tears today for, like, the stoppage of the Keystone XL Pipeline, um, because so many people fought, you know, through winters and, extreme situations, through, you know through starvation in some points, you know, just to oppose, right, the deconstruction and demolition of land, that was sacred and important to people, for some oil. And it's, again, right, you say it's for oil, but really it's about money. It's really about folks' greed. It's really like for cost effectiveness, because a pipeline can definitely go around land. You can go in any direction you want, and folks, they could have came up with an agreement to, honor and respect the people there. But again, at the same time, folks for the most part would don't want the oil, coming out in their backyard in the first place. Don't want the construction in their backyard in the first place. But that, just thinking about like how many news cycles or how many seasons it's been since people was talking about it, or it was in popular culture, and part of the engagement of popular culture, where people will latch on for a moment. And we what, 3 weeks into a new year, and folks is forgetting so much, where you got celebrities flying into DC during the pandemic, getting lost and taking pictures with the military police, like, it's all good, these folks is heroes. But what about, Black Lives Matter? What about defund the police? Right? Satire drums, feel me? Like, we was just talking about how they got too much money, communities don't have enough. Like, anytime folks is not choosing education in any state, in any county, right? They saying we don't have enough for the future, right? We don't have enough for the future of the people who live here. We ain't got enough for your kids, but we got money to lock them up. But we ain't got money to prevent them from making choices that will put them in a situation where they will have to be locked up. We not safeguarding their hearts and minds from abandonment or trauma. We not safeguarding their hearts and minds and their bodies from abuse, from starvation. It's like we not looking after their food safety. We not even acknowledging that they live in food deserts, acknowledging how hard it is for them to get a meal, how hard it is for them families to get support. And like, so many educational systems is not getting the money. But we could pose for the picture because we in DC and it's signing day, right? It's like New York and the NBA, NFL. It's like, let's let's get these photo ops. Feel me? Like, we here, we in suits, we in coats. It's cold in DC, it's snowing in DC, but we fitted. Like, my mittens is fresh, and they made like my syrup in Vermont. Like, off of recycled plastic bottles. Like, it's a story, it's a meme, it's a joke, it's a mood. And like, okay, we got executive orders rolling out, but the same folks that was saying that all lives matter, same folks are saying blue lives matter, same folks was like, come through to the Capitol building. Y'all could have this field trip. We'll come through. They still in elected seats too. They still in the House of Representatives. They still in the Senate. And like, as much as the wins matter, like, we got to get back to goal setting to keep winning. Because when you got two folks in office, who's in the, well, man, it's like I can't even call it the free world no more. It's like we already know that's not true. Like, we've been know it's not true. And like, now, like we've been not calling it the free world, and now everybody else know that it's not the free world. And like, before, it was just like a throwaway thing, because like people say, oh well, I don't want to start, I don't want to get into this argument about why we not free. But like, everybody know we not free now. Everybody know that, like, I could they could come into my house. They could come to my house during this broadcast talking about they looking for me. Like imagine if Breonna Taylor had a podcast, bro. Man, right? She get off work from being an AMT and then go do a broadcast. Man,
I mean,
it's a lovely Wednesday.
as you can see, this is Lyrical One's episode 33 or 34. We don't really know, but the thing about what you bring up, right? Like the reason why I smile, for those that don't know, I was smiling through most of it because it resonates with me. I totally agree, and I share in the sentiment due to the fact of the challenges and the adverse experiences I've had, like the trauma, the struggle, the challenge of barriers, all that, like the things I've had to overcome and still am overcoming. Um, I I didn't get to pick any of those things. Those things just happened due to the circumstances of my destiny. When I say destiny, I mean the moment you're born. You don't get to pick that. That is destiny right there in that moment. That is literally what you can make it, right? At a point, I learned and I was exposed to the fact that I could do something about it. Not everyone's given that opportunity, and I realize that not everyone's given that moment of intervention or that a moment of enlightenment or education to know, oh, I can do something about the circumstances, the cards I was dealt. I could do something about it. I learned that, and I started getting busy. Now, witnessing, watching, and participating in the world, as I say many times, I work in the community and I'm a part of the community in the capacity of pushing for sustainability and positive change. Looking at today, while everybody's, you right, they celebrating how easy it is to get the photo op. I'm not the photo op dude. I mean, I'm wearing a mask. I'm not here for me. I'm here to like. Enough people told me, hey, you should probably share some of this, and you probably gain something from it. And so, okay, that's what I'm gonna do. But I'm not going to compromise who I am for that. So what happens? I'm witnessing, the who's who of the entertainment industry, all like going along with the facade, because that's really what it is, right? Like everybody's so happy to say good riddance and goodbye to someone who is the manifestation of the system that the people we just elected are wholeheartedly a part of, right? Like Donald Trump,
Wholeheartedly career
yeah, lifelong,
career
right?
killers.
Like and it ain't that they killed their career, is that they have been able to trample other people in the process of prolonging their career, right? There's people who are harmed by the commitments and actions of these two individuals. I'm not trying to minimize the scope of the work and sacrifices anyone's had to make. We all know that, yes, Don Treasy, Don Teasy Steen, Don Trumple Tuba Doop, he definitely took things in a direction people were uncomfortable with and were unaware of how far it could go. And now we've seen what 4 years can do, right? It was a lot for people to take on, but for someone like me who comes from traumatic, adverse childhood experiences and had to go and travel through those as an adult, I mean, when right? When you know what's coming, you know what's up. When you understand the level of like negotiation over your life, someone like that, as much as they may irk you and upset you, you realize this too shall come to pass. But more than ever, what is it passing into? Is it passing back into what it was, or are we passing into something new? Because even though we got people who are public servants who've been celebritized, right? Like we put them on a pedestal, right? We talk about the squad. I love the squad, but there's still a minority amongst a minority group that has control over kind of our day-to-day lives, or let alone just kind of what the world will be in this country. And I think that people lose sight because the names are so profound and the celebrity is so gigantic that we think that they have this pool, when in reality they still need support and they still are trying to transform the government and the structures that exist. And so it's easy to start getting pacified and feeling good when you see, oh, we have the first black woman, which is a great thing, right? She's of mixed race, mixed ethnicity, whatever you want to call it. Like, there's a lot of culture that comes with that, a lot of experience, and it's not to minimize the scope of that, but we can't ignore the career and the actions and the things that they committed themselves to, the associations that they were able to, leverage, right? It's who you know in this game, right? And so they were able to leverage a lot of their associations, and those associations still permeate even on a locality today in terms of who's in power and what's going on. And so, with Joe Biden being a lifelong politician, being a person who's already lived in the White House, right? Who's already had an experience that most people will never have. And we look back at the track record, we look at the quotes, we look at what they stood on. We got to be very wary and very careful of our celebratory, gratitude, because it's like, as much as we can appreciate this moment, we got to really be mindful. Don't let up off the gas. Don't let up off of this moment where we've been so clear in what our want is, that now because we got somebody who dresses it up a little differently or delivers it a little bit differently, that we could back off. Like, me yelling at you like, I hate you, versus me saying, I hate you, still saying I hate you, right? And that's the thing, right? I think that it's easy to lose sight of the tone because it's a difference, right? It's not DTZ, it's Joey B, right? Joey B's different. Joey B was with Barack, and it's like, yo, at the end of the day, these are people who have committed themselves to actions that we can only do so much to hold them accountable to. We can only do so much to scrutinize and criticize. There is a level of power that we have in being able to transform what they do and being able to transform the positions that they're in. And that's where my heart is when I see today play out, and I see, oh yeah, y'all thankful that it's boring. Y'all thankful that things are going back to normal. That's not normal. That's what got us here. Those are the things, those were the steps. Like, we think we taking two steps forward, but we really taking one step back, right? We're going one step back into something that this is kind of what led to this moment, right? We're hopeful that it's leading us in a new direction. It's leading us somewhere that is fruitful or prosperous, or seeking some level of harmony. But I'm not going to sit up here and for a second front on the fact that these people have built their careers on the backs of people who they don't have a voice. They don't have an opportunity. And so to me, I'm just looking at it like, yes, it's great to not have this one guy, but let's not forget that one guy was just a representative of something that exists, right? When you look at the votes and you realize, like, okay, yeah, there was a significant margin. That margin wasn't a majority. It was like a half, right? It was like, look,
Yeah.
I got $55, you got $49. I'm a little bit richer than you, right? It wasn't one of those situations where, like, I'm exceeding, I've overpowered. Now you got a couple square footage too, right? And so that's the thing
Right.
that I'm hoping people realize. And it's not about, I'm not for the divisiveness, right? I can speak it, I can walk it like I talk it, whatever the case may be, but I'm not one for the divisiveness. Y'all sitting up here with this violent rhetoric. I come from a violent community. I come from a community where violence is a traumatic thing, right? And y'all be like, punch a Nazi. And I'm like, look, hold up. I don't agree. I don't want it. But there's something going on there that has been unresolved. And a punch is not going to resolve it. A punch is further going
Right.
to galvanize and create that community in terms of validating, oh, there's the new enemy, right? Things change over time, right? Everything changes over time. What meant something will soon evolve into something else, right? And we've seen that with this era of what's happened in terms of politics and how the extremities can go to such a far left and a far right. So me, I'm not gonna move with violence. That don't mean that I ain't gonna sit there and protect my neck. Don't get it twisted. Self-defense is always a must. It's never in question. But I'm never seeking violence as an outcome to resolve issues or the circumstances of a situation. People are
Right.
obviously hurting, and it takes a careful, thoughtful mind to reach those people, to hear them out, to have them understand where both sides are coming from. For me to be able to take the time and have the patience to hear you out because to have 70 million people vote for somebody who we all are in some accord of awareness of, this is what they're willing to do, this is who they are, right? You can only tell a person so long, hey, you probably shouldn't hang out with them, hey, you probably shouldn't be over there, hey, fire is hot and you're gonna get burned, right? And now these people, right, it's not necessarily that physical pain, they may not resonate with the actual mental approach, the educational lesson, like, oh, well, look what he did. They might see it as, oh, he was able to do something that's no one has ever really done. He was able to get people motivated. What happens if it was more people, right? And so to me, I'm more interested in how do we reach out to those who may look like they're on the other side of the fence to then break down that fence.
Right.
Because I'm of a belief, right? Like we say it so much when it comes to our own, like, oh, it's because it's not that they're bad people, it's that they don't have options and they don't have resources. So in society's eyes, they are committing themselves to actions that may be harmful to themselves or their community, right? We do that all the time when it comes to us living in our metropolitan bubbles, but when it comes to those that are extended, because whether we like it or not, our crazy
Mhm.
cousins in the South or our crazy cousins in the flyover states, they are still a part of our nation's family. And to not extend an olive branch or not to extend a form of communication to understand where they're coming from and why they have the position that they sit on or to have the stance that they have. I said it before, I'll say it again. Every president has had something that a lot of people didn't agree with, right? Obama, it was around gay marriage. With Bill Clinton, it was about don't ask, don't tell, right? Like people want to create this romanticized version of the Democratic Party, like we don't got our own variations of skeletons in the closet when it comes to the Syrian war and when it comes to all of the different battles and atrocities that have taken place. No matter who is the representative of what party, again, these are systems that have been maintained and upheld and got us to the point where Don Teasy ended up becoming the president, right? And to me, I don't want people to lose sight of the fact that we have made a lot of ground in a movement and change, but it ain't enough, right? It's not to sit up here and be like, oh, we stop just because we don't have a megalomaniac going crazy, right? This egotistical kind of selfish individual who, rules with his emotions over any level of rationality. Look, at the end of the day, a millionaire could never understand my pain, right? A lifelong millionaire at that could never really understand what struggle is. They can act, right? They can be trained. They can have people write their speeches and say some very heartfelt words and make me think and believe because they have poise and they have this level of kind of control over how they dictate their words that all of a sudden now I'm like, oh, thank you. Thank you, Freddie Prince Jr., who just so happens to be almost 80 years old. I appreciate you so much. Right? Like, nah, this ain't that game. I'm not stupid. What are you talking about? I done been game goofy before. I ain't game goofy today. I learned from
Right.
those moments. And what I have learned, I'm trying to make sure that we as a people are together, that we are aware, that we are willing to some degree continue to change because man, seeing how many people were like so happy, knowing that like, yo, these dudes were responsible for a lot of things that you don't stand for, right? And so you really have just accepted the lesser of two evils, and you all the way are like, well, because Donald Trump is gone. No, racism ain't gone. White supremacy ain't gone, right? Systemic oppression ain't gone, right? The horrific outcomes of capitalism is not gone, right? Like these things are still in existence. The game is still being played.
The two party system is right back where it was before the Tea Party showed up.
I mean,
Two
come on.
party system, two party system is they right back to it. Let's bust some heads.
All the
Whatever we're gonna do, we're gonna do it together, red and blue all the way.
all the people standing shoulder to shoulder with Don Teasy is now standing shoulder to shoulder with Joe Beasy, and it's like we forget. Oh yeah, no, it's all good. You had a lapse in judgment. Nah, bruh. They don't work like
Yeah.
that.
See, people don't even think that maybe Bernie Sanders was dressed that way because he was in protest. People even like maybe I just like I don't even really want to be here like that.
I ain't rocking
Like
with y'all.
Like I'm part of the Democratic Party, but really, we wasting time.
For real. I got my work with me. I brought my work to the party. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, y'all want to
I
sit
got
up here
some
and celebrate.
memos.
Look, don't forget what I'm here for, right? Like, I'm here to do some business.
I got these letters I gotta drop off. Can y'all move this thing along? Got some stuff I need to take down the hall and get signed. Could y'all wrap this up? It's wild though because like when you talk about it, it's like oh man, it's like we happy that this person is not in, but some folks is not really happy at who's in office now. And part of it is that, right? It's like they should have to prove themselves. They should have to, show up and show progress. And if you're gonna define, your administration or your time in office based on like fixing or changing what was done before you, then it's gonna be very similar to the 45th president's run, which is what he did. He said, "I'm gonna just whatever Obama did do, I'm gonna just do the opposite. As much as I can, I'm gonna just do the opposite because that's what got me here." Then Joe Biden's like, "Well, we just gonna do the opposite of what 45 did because that's what got us here." And it don't be like necessarily original ideas, but it's interesting. So like when you watch Japanese news, they do a heavy story and then they do a light story right after that. They do a heavy story, then they do a light story. My Google Assistant tried to tell me something. Um, Shout out to Issa Rae filming the fifth final season of Insecure. You know, black actors and writers and directors doing y'all thing, black creators, feel me. Um, but they take you up and take you down. Even if it's like a heavy news story, they'll play a light commercial afterwards. And the idea is to keep folks from panicking, right? It's like the establishment, the system don't want an uprising, right? They want to kill that noise. They don't want groups of people protesting left and right all summer. They don't want another summer of that. They don't want that. So they go, try to ride the line, try to ride the fence and keep everybody happy. So now these just watch, we gotta see now how they try to pander to these 70, 80 million people, who support this guy because now the guy's not there. He wasn't a Republican before he ran, and now he not really a Republican now. So like what do folks want to do? Like he's not the figurehead who y'all can rally behind now. So then like folks will have to really make up their mind on what they believe in and what they believe for this country, what they hope for this country, make up their own decisions, make up their own mind, and say if you really want the best for this country, then what does that look like, right? Like it's not just everybody having cash, it's not just everybody having food, right? Like there's so much more to America, to the the belief that America can be great than everybody having enough money to buy stuff or everybody having enough food, right? It's like folks like literal trauma and like harm that they've been through that they need assistance with. They need support. They need community. We got 3,000 kids who separated from their parents. Like, what are we doing to find their parents? What are we doing to connect them back? Like, who knows if their parents is alive or not? Like, what are we doing? Like, we ain't talking about like I feel like the news ain't really talked about these kids and these detention centers for these children in like 8 months. I feel like the pandemic just came at the right time for people to not talk about these kids.
Does Flint have drinking water?
I don't even know, but I'm in Silicon Valley and we still got drinking water. So I'm gonna just tweet about something else.
I mean, man, see my level of skepticism, my level of just saying that, like, we still got drinking water. You mean to tell me we serve 3 counties with one water source, majority of our water? Come on. And we all at home. We ain't getting the arrowhead from the water cooler right now. We ain't getting the Alhambra. We ain't getting it from the buildings, right? We getting it from our home, or you know what I'm saying? Like I'm putting that out there as a tangent. People think critically about how many people out here, how much water is being consumed, right? And what the numbers say, really, really looking between the lines. But beyond that, because I just recently have started testing the water, and I'm learning this process. I'm going through the trials and tribulations because, being mindful of the future. But right, going back to what you said earlier about, oh, we have food insecurity, people can't eat, right? And people forget, like, slavery didn't end, right? Slavery didn't end, right? It just changed. That's all that happened, right? Because if you want a meal, break the law, right? If you want a meal, break the law. You're gonna get a meal. You're gonna get fed, right? Imagine the critical, like, I have to, like, Aladdin, one of the hardest movies in the world, right? Shout out to the demon Disney. But one of the hardest lines is, gotta steal to eat, gotta eat to live. Right. And to me as a kid, hearing that was like the most, like, this is something different. This is, would you consider this gangster? Because to me, this character who's in a Disney film for children is saying to me, in his situation and circumstances with his patched up MC Hammer pants, gotta steal to eat, gotta eat to live. And I'm like, now as an adult,
Tell you all
reflect.
about it when I got the time.
You see what I'm saying? I gotta
Ain't even
go
got
on a run.
time to tell you about it.
I ain't got time to talk about it. I
I'm
gotta
on
get
the
it.
I'm on the run.
And so to me, I'm looking at it like, okay, there's people who are really living in those circumstances, and then we want to judge them because, like, I remember we talked about it in the past about, like, seeing people on camera and they're wearing nice clothes, or they got a nice jacket and they got nice shoes, and I'm like, the level of risk that a person is taking on to get what they need, knowing that they probably won't be able to escape their surroundings and their circumstances, being able to attain something that represents something more, right? Something is superficial and shallow, right? Because it ain't like they're the ones that designed the clothes, created the price tag. They're not the ones who marketed it. They're not the ones that said if it's a luxury good or a luxury expense. They're just living and existing in a world where they can't leave their home because that's
Mm,
home, right? Because the
right.
system has been set up in a way that, yes, like, this is not by accident, this is intentional, right? Like, I'm witnessing it because I work in a community. I have a different relationship to people than most because I get to know the story, I get to know the person, right? That's why I have the ability to empathize with so many who seek to do me harm or seek to hate me, because of the simple fact that I've been in adverse situations where I done had to negotiate with my life. So when I'm sitting
Right.
here and I'm thinking about people who they see it based off of social media, or they see it through a screen, and as impacted as they are to empathize with the victim, they still forget that hurt people, right? You forget that. And so it's like, oh, let's, based off of the temperature of the room or based off of the time of the day, okay, everybody, no, everybody ain't everybody, right? You this and they that, right? So it's like, when I'm looking at the situation as it plays out, people need to eat, right? And then we look at the person who's like, oh, well, they've been able to amass a certain level of wealth. When you get money illegally, you can't do nothing with it besides buy stuff and feed back into the consumerist capitalistic system that we have. There ain't much you can't invest it, right? You can't turn it over into something else, right? Especially if you don't have the acumen, the access, the resources, or someone to mentor you to understand how to manipulate money, right? It's very transactional, right? And so when I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about this current regiment that we're in, or we're looking at what's happening, like, I'm just saying, we're all lyrical ones, right? We all have our ways of communicating. We all have our ways of getting our point across. We all have our ways of trying to connect. And I'm really hoping, pushing, and trying to get people to see, like, look, don't stop. Do not stop now, right? Because this isn't a mistake. This isn't no accident. When you're sitting here and you're looking at it, and you're right, like, I'm gonna do what they didn't do, or I'm gonna do what they, I'm gonna go against the grain. I'm gonna go and do the opposite, right? And then how do I pander and how do I pacify, right? Because to sit there and say we don't have, when if I was to go down, aka get arrested and get locked up, I'm gonna have housing, I'm gonna have food, and I'm gonna have something to do, right? I'm guaranteed that, right? Because I'm a slave based off of the 13th Amendment. I'm a slave, right? And it just so happens that when you look at the numbers of who populates those plantations, right? The penitentiary is a plantation. When you see the plantation, penitentiary and plantation go hand in hand. So people who live on the plantations, right? Maybe they ain't selling food or they ain't growing food or crops, but they still on the plantation. It's still slave labor. To me, when I look at that, right? You tell me what you don't have. You tell me what you can't give me, but I can get it if I make a big enough mistake. Make a big enough mistake, and I got it. I'm guaranteed for life. I'm guaranteed so much more, right, than what I'm given when I'm just a citizen struggling to do the right thing. When I'm struggling to meet in the standards of what right is based off of what a law says, because the laws change, right, depending on how far we push it, right? You're right. We got these kids locked up in cages, and it's so sad to see, right? The Keystone Pipeline now, because of the attention and so much draw and push, that we can stop that. But that doesn't mean that that's the only fight or struggle that exists where this, right? I can speak to so many different positions, places, people who are in dire need of change, right? And so to sit here and lose sight of the fact that there's so much more that needs to happen. Yes, I am thankful for today, but that don't mean that I'm satisfied with today. Me being thankful for what I was given doesn't mean that I got to stop and just take that, right? Just because you gave me this don't mean that I got to settle for it. And that's what I'm hoping people are able to take away in a time like today where it's easy to get into, oh yeah, turn up. And it's like, we still in a pandemic, homie. What you mean? We still in the same circumstances, same boat, right? The water ain't changed, right? Just the captain, right? We threw a man overboard, right? I can't tell you how many times y'all get rid of the person and don't change the system. Think about that. Oh, I don't like this police chief. So what you gonna do? You gonna get rid of the person and not change the system. Instead of changing who they're accountable to, right? What do? We just change the person. That's all we do. Because we're not changing what they account
Right.
for, right? Like, you accountable to me as a person, right? You accountable to my community. You accountable to the people that you impact or affect. No, no, no. We ain't gonna talk about that. What we gonna do? I don't like you. You the one. We hold you responsible. We gonna martyr you, and we gonna get rid of you, right? Whoever you are, we taking you out. And what happens? The system isn't changed. The system is still the same. The system is what got them here. I rather see the system change. I rather us make up new rules, explore new ways, right? New practices, right? To get to a better outcome, right? A fighter gets in a ring, loses, they have the ability to go and work on their game, work on their craft, and then reassess so they can win, right?
We
I'm
get
not gonna
knocked
sit up there
out
and you lost,
every 4 years.
for real. Get on a routine, right? Maybe you get 8, right? Maybe you get 8. Maybe you get lucky, you get a good run. But I'm just saying, like, I don't want people to lose sight. You know what I'm saying? Like, Chipotle is good. You know what I'm saying? It tastes good. They, the level of salt on the chicken or on the steak, the barbacoa, you know what I'm saying? The carnitas, it ain't, I just want to say on a tangent, Chipotle is not to me a representation of Latin food. It's just not, right? It's just food, right? That's it. It's just a way for me to get a quick fix of some protein and some fiber and some carbs and maybe some vegetables, depending on how much salsa I put in it. But it is not a representation to me. It's like, I'm not trying to minimize it. I get it. They call it like Mexican grill, whatever. I don't know. But to me, that's not what I've
I don't
associated with Latin food growing
like
up.
it's Chipotle.
It's Chipotle. Yeah, it's its own thing. I don't go to McDonald's to get a burger. I
Nah,
don't go to McDonald's. Now, it's not to
yeah,
shame you if
and
you
I
do. If you gotta go get your apple pie, go get your quarter pounder. But I'm saying that ain't a burger to me. That's McDonald's.
right. Right. I'm at Chipotle for cauliflower rice, black beans, romaine lettuce, some corn, and some guacamole. That's that's what I'm there for. I mean, like I'm not if I wanted Latin food, I hit the taqueria.
Exactly.
But that's it. Like I was saying, Chipotle will forget my chips. No taqueria go forget your chips. They go ask you if you like you said they go ask you if you want more
You gonna get them.
delivery or not. You
You
gonna
gonna
get
get
them
them. You gonna get them, right? Because the Chipotle they charge you
right,
for them, and then they forget them.
right. But again, because they know that if you stop going, somebody is gonna replace you. Taqueria is a small business. If you don't get what you asked for, you ain't coming back. Right? They need all the customers they can get. They can't afford to lose no customers. And it's like we gotta we gotta have a similar sense of urgency. We can't like take a year off, take a presidency off, and not ask for things to get done. Right? You just say, oh, well, they didn't really talk about nobody dying or nobody getting kidnapped or you know seem like the people with money still got money and the people without money still don't got it. So yeah, we just go vote you in again, give you another term because the world didn't burn down while you was in office, and the same people that disliked each other before you was in office still dislike each other. So like again, it's like maintaining like the status quo is like game management in a football game, right? It's like you do what's necessary to not lose, right? You don't make no mistakes as far as how the game is played, right? You don't throw no turnovers. You don't toss no interceptions. Don't fumble the ball, right? You throw the ball out of bounds when you get out the pocket. You don't take no unnecessary sacks. You make the check down throw. Same thing they do. Same thing they do in the government. You got 4 years, so you decide if you go run for re-election or not. If you go run for re-election, then you got to make some promises and break some promises. But you gotta make those promises even if you don't mean to keep them, because those promises go get you in. Then once you in, then you can start keeping the promises that the person 2 terms before you made. Start with their promises, and then start to breaking your own, and then you can start to change whatever the last person did, and that's enough to keep your base, and then maybe win over a few more people because you was then keeping some promises from 8 years ago, 5, 6 years ago, keeping some of those. You keep your base, and you already hold you responsible for doing what they did themselves and voting the person out. Like the administration didn't do that. We as voters did that. And we can continue to do work by again holding our votes hostage and saying you're not gonna get these votes unless you show up right. And then and we when we get to thinking like that as a group, as a team, as a unit, as a people, as a community, as a country, then we can see change end over end, term over term, and really healing what's happening, between the coasts, between these two oceans, right? Between these North and South countries. Like we could build better relations. We could, start new programs, new, immigration work programs. Like we could do things to reconnect families, start to, they talking about, build back better. Like, yes, that's totally possible. But it started with like families. Like they always told the term American families, but American families don't have roofs over their head. It's American families that's homeless. They American families too. It's American families that's unhoused, and they are American families too, and they need help. They need access.
I
They need
mean,
education.
if you're gonna broadcast it, be responsible for what you broadcasting, right? You want to call yourself
That's all I'm
great,
trying to do.
right? You want to call yourself great. You want to say, "Oh, give me your sick, give me your tired, right? Give me your weak, right?" You want to say this is the land of the free. You want to say this is like the freedoms and liberties, right? Like this is democracy. This is America. This is so many things. If this is what it's gonna be, if you gonna tell people that, don't be surprised if people want to take you up on your offer, right? Don't be surprised when people want to see you about it, when people want to know if it's true, right? Don't be surprised when we look at the history books and we see, oh, you came over here and just took it, and then people start showing up thinking they gonna take it too, right? Well, I'm not trying to take everything. I'm just trying to get my piece of the American pie. Y'all told me about the American pie. I'm just trying to get my slice. You got me addicted to your Coca-Cola. I love your Levi's, but I need to get in because my life ain't changing. It's not till I get to those glorious borders to get inside, right? When I get to the dock, or when I get through, now I'm here. I could get my piece of the American pie, right? You told me so much about it over decades, right? How great you are, how magnificent you are, how you stand for so much, and how you exist in so many different ways. You got bases all over the world. Now I want a piece of it. And I don't care about the details of how I'm going to get it. I'm just going to get it because where I'm at right now is horrible. That's your American family too. Just as much as the American family that sits in its nice posh home with its 40 bathrooms and our 3 to 6 bedrooms. Yeah, it's the same, right? Just as much as your investment fund, and you receive the profit of interest that you live off of from your trust fund that's existed for so many centuries, it's the same. So they're all family. We're all family. You gonna tell us that it exists. We're gonna see if it exists. Now we want to know, how can we get a piece of it? And I think that's the thing, that a country that wants to have its military bases stationed in so many different areas around the world has to accept the relationship that they have with the world, has to accept what is it that you've been broadcasting to so many people for so long, that now people are willing to go and find, where's the signal coming from, right? Aliens are here. It's real. I'm just saying. It's real out here. Look in the sky. Y'all don't look too long. Y'all just be seeing planes. Y'all need to look deeper than that. It's deeper, right? Because they coming too. They want to know. Oh, this what y'all doing? Oh, okay. I want to see what's up. What y'all got going on? What kind of technology y'all? Oh, okay. Y'all babies over here. Stupid little babies. Dumb little babies, don't even know nothing about life. Just looking up at the stars like, I wonder what's over there. Man, we been there. We been there. You can't see us. And if you did see us, you people so stupid don't want to believe you telling, oh yeah, I seen it. I seen it. Oh, that's a hillbilly hick. Oh, he live in the middle of nowhere. You right, he live in the middle of nowhere. Cause that's where we be going. We going where the nature is. We don't be around your cities with your smog, your pollution, and all your lights. Your lights ain't even as bright as our lights. Tripping. Think we gonna play with y'all. Family. You on mute. You putting yourself on mute.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know I was on mute, but I don't want to interrupt too early. But they looking at other countries, right? We look at in the countries, and folks is like, historically countries are operating out of some guilt. You know, it's like all this oppression, all these the atrocities, right? All this war that's at the root. People are like, oh well, no new wars are started, and the GDP has done this, and the the stock market is doing this, and we still got these kids that ain't got their parents with them, and we still like not really talking about or fixing the wounds and the establishments that was created out of Jim Crow. like folks is like, oh man, all this stuff really happened. Oh wait, this was on the news yesterday. This really happened. Like this person looked like you. Are you okay? Oh, that person looked like you. Are you okay? Like, ain't that your sister name? Are you okay? Do you need some time? I know you going through something different than the last 30 years you've been alive. I know it's different because it's on the news. But like, I don't need none of that. The country don't need, we don't need none of that shame to propel us to action, to change, to have compassion. We don't need none of that guilt to say, oh, it's been invisible to me. Now I see it. Now I can do something about it. Like anything like that we oblivious to as historically as a country is on us because the internet is all right there. But you gotta like folks, we gotta like want to find it and want to find out what's wrong and want to find out like who are the most looked over, left out, the most endangered of us, right? What the system considers to be the least of us. And what are we doing for them? It's easy to find out. You can check the CDC, you can check any government page and look through, just search on your favorite search engine and say who died the most, who was kidnapped the most, who was robbed the most, who was abused the most, and then look up and find out what's being done for them and how you can help. It don't need to be a social media movement. It don't need to be some GoFundMe. It don't need to. Sean King don't need to tell you what to do. Like you don't need somebody texting you with some fundraising options. Like we can talk to each other. It's like find out where these communities is at. You ain't even gotta, since we not supposed to be traveling. If you don't want to quarantine, just go down the street and talk to your neighbors. Just go outside and meet some people in the park. You know, not the people at the park who's having a picnic, but the people at the park who live there. Um,
For real.
um, see what's up with them. Like I was outside today in San Francisco. Yes, the actual city county of San Francisco. Um, and people ask me sometimes like, why you don't drink? Is it a religious thing? It's like I grew up in San Francisco and took public transportation. I had my brothers and sisters, my OGs, telling me everything I need to know about drinking. They tell me how much fun it is, when the fun start, and when the fun end. Like the facial expressions, the skin change, the hair color change, the speech change, the jaws don't work the same, the lips don't work the same. It's like it's I got all the examples I need on why I don't drink. It's like I could just go outside and talk to somebody, say, "Oh, how long you been drinking?" Oh, wait, can I get a translator? And it's still what matters more is the system that allowed them to abuse something that was supposed to be recreational, the system that had them dependent on on something like alcohol that would keep them from progressing, that would keep them from looking after themselves. Um, it's just on information alone. How much information out there on a daily basis we get? Is we when being told these are the crutches that we can use to make us feel better when we down. Um, Social media is serving the same purpose most of the time. Just like how many likes can I get? Who looked at my message? Who who looked at my story, who responded to my story, who double tapped that, who gave a response, who commented, because whatever's happening on the inside of me needs a boost. It needs some engagement, just a little bit of engagement, um, without me actually sharing what I'm going through, without somebody actually listening to me, without me actually listening to someone else. And yes, sometimes you can make the effort and have full blown conversations and hum- humanistic exchanges through the digital platforms. But we move so fast. Time moves so fast. There's so much information. Like we look at the headlines, even in each other's lives, and don't get the full story. And I think for me, for this administration, I don't want it to be an administration of just tweets and headlines, um, and stuffing recipes. Like it's cool to be relatable, but you in office now, I like it's a job. Like I just want to see I want to see them do the job better than anyone's done the job. Like that's what I hope for, coming into this new year, this this new regime. Like we say, oh well, this is the first time we've had this, the first time we had that, the first time it's been a female first stepmother, first, part of a blended family. Like all these things is, and I want to see the first to do it different, you know. Um, but I'm hopeful for that. It's one of those things when you black, when you come from the Bay, however long you was here, when you go to historical black college, like when you a person of color in America and you're trying to succeed and not just live up to your own definition of success, but also the standard, the status quo, the the meritocracy's version of success. Like you got to be triple good. Uh, what they say in the movie, you got to be double good. For the both of us, for the ones that's not here, you got to be double good. But as people of color, we got to be triple good, and then black women got to be quadruple good. And so I hope that it's just a a, a run in office, like a term in office that's impeccable, not pristine, but like they take the job seriously and they hold themselves accountable, and it's not a dog and pony show, for the first woman, female vice president. Like I hope they wreck stuff, for the better.
For real. Because to me, y'all both complicit to the eradication of the black population within the Bay Area. Okay, like I'm not gonna sit
Mhm.
here for a second let up. Y'all, like, especially being okay. I appreciate the work you've done, right? But that there is a piece where we don't. It's not a this or that situation. It's a spectrum, right? And how much on the spectrum have you moved from one end to the other end, right? Because if I look at the history and I look at the notes and I look at what was done and I base you, if all I had was to go off of was the past, then I have to say I don't know how much you really are representing for me, the working class, the people of color, right? The people who didn't have the ability to come from households with collegiate backgrounds or well-to-do parents or two-parent households, right? Like one-parent households, right? Like we're talking about poverty on the borderline of poverty. We're talking about what was once the middle class, what was once blue collar work, what was, like those who have lost their jobs to automation. Like to some degree, these two individuals that I'm looking to help guide where we're going, y'all were complicit or sat alongside people and helped create the world we live in today, right? And I'm coming from San Francisco. I'm coming from the Bay Area. I'm coming from, you know, minority communities, working class communities, where you said it. When something comes and impacts people, who's being impacted more? Who gets it first ends up getting it worse, right? And it just so happens when you look at those data and you look at the numbers and you look at the quantifiable data, right? Not qualitative. We're not talking about the quality of it. We're talking about just the numbers, sheer numbers of quantity. It's going to be people of color. It's going to be black. It's going to be Latin. It's going to be Asian. It's going to usually be in that order, right? And we live in a country where there's just so much of that on a repetitive scale that there is no accident in those patterns. There's no accident in you being a president or you being a vice president. I appreciate that you're bringing something that gives people solace, but I got to let you know, for someone like me who works in a community who's trying to repair the harm and trying to work towards harmony, you got a lot of work to do and you got a lot to prove. And I will be engaged in trying to hold you accountable every step of the way. And I hope that we're able to work together and create a relationship of respect and responsibility, right? Where we're able to produce results that are going to be fruitful for the future, because it is super necessary given all the trauma and all the adverse things that I've had to overcome, given all the things that I currently see and all the problems that exist. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
y'all got to
You
get
know,
with it. You got to be down.
we want more than a photo op.
Way
But
more than a.
in other news, James Harden took off his fat suit, is in Brooklyn now, and his first game back, he had a triple. First game with the Brooklyn Nets, he had a triple double. Kyrie just got back after 2 weeks off. Kyrie's with the Brooklyn Nets, and like that's great. Brooklyn is great. Kyrie missed 7 games, but I like that he said, I just needed a break for personal family reasons. I'm gonna leave it at that. I talked to all my teammates. I apologize to the fans. I'm back to play the game I love. But Steph Curry still running LA, came back from 19, 17, 19 down and hit the clutch shot to beat the Lakers earlier this season, the short early season, back in December, came back from 20 something down against the Clippers and beat the Clippers. Chef Curry still doing what he does, still cooking. Steph gonna Steph, you know, sports is great for escapism. A lot of athletes do a lot of good things in communities that they work in, or that they got their foundations in, or that they, locale in. Um, is Athletes are living different lives right now in the pandemic. They're having their own issues and own struggles, and it's really great for me at least to see these, athletes who are predominantly people of color, you know, exhibit some leverage against these corporations and say, I don't want to stay here. I've done all I can here and I got paid, y'all got paid, we made money. Now I want a new job, right? I want to work, I want to take my talent somewhere else. And it's really cool to see that because for a long time they didn't have no leverage. They didn't get paid the best. They had these glamorous jobs with celebrity status, and they wasn't getting paid well, and they was retiring and injured, and didn't have real good medical, and didn't have real good dental, and didn't have real good care and therapy and things that they needed. And so I like to talk about that just because it's a good representation of changes that are happening. Um, Even if it feels like they're not really at the top of things, but some of those athletes who came from humble beginnings have a pulse on what's happening in the world and the NBA. Some of these players was really out in the streets and was really out protesting and was really trying to use their platform to bring attention to the atrocities that continue to happen in America. Uh, we got so many people that are harmed by police violence, by gun violence, by domestic violence, and we have to continue to talk about it. We kind of continue to do better. The escapism is great. It's good to see competition and you know people who practice and work hard at their craft and see them do amazing things with a basketball or a football. And they this time of year is great for selling TVs. The NHL's in the football. NFL playoffs are going on. It's college football or college basketball is in swing, and they prepare for some form of March Madness, um, and they try to figure that out. A lot of different things and businesses happening with, you know, Disney getting rid of their annual pass and Universal Studios dragging them for that. A lot of people only go to Disneyland. Again, you got people who are got families, and the annual pass helps them navigate when they got large families. Um, it helps them, get away when they, working hard and working blue collar jobs, especially in the LA area, especially in some of these agricultural towns in California. Uh, hope they come up with programs for large families that will enable them to have decent escape or decent fun times at Disneyland. Because memories matter, imagination matters, like this stuff matters as far as memories go. And I just hope people figure it out and we get to see some brighter things happen on the other side of this pandemic as these vaccines get rolled out. uh Stuff is wild, man. It's like I be walking into gyms and the fitness facilities and just seeing like the equipment gone because it's not worth keeping it, paying the lease, or seeing gyms closed down. Think was that Gold's Gym closed 10 gyms in California, 24 closed a whole bunch of gyms in the Bay Area. It's it's wild to see and to walk into an empty gym and just like this is the reality. And like I remember 10 years ago when I started, like people was not in the gym like they are now. They were not aware of how much fitness wasn't a fad. It was mostly for athletes and people who just thought they was overweight, and people who was bodybuilders, and that was pretty much it. People was doing competitions. There was a lot of toxic culture from the 80s, a lot of misinformation, and now like being healthy, being mobile, being flexible, uh, being grounded, finding your equilibrium, finding your voice, uh, being mindful is like wellness is like taking on it's an industry of its own, um, which is great. You got businesses like Peloton, that are supplying bikes all over the place for people and providing great programming for folks. And we not advocating for anything, but find what you want, even if it feels like it's a fad. um, you know do what works for you, as long as you're not harming somebody else in the process. As long as you're not harming yourself in the process. Find the things that work for you, find the things that that help you heal from your traumas, heal from your wounds, not make them deeper, or reiterate the bad habits that caused them in the first place. These lyrical ones, I'm glad y'all listening. I'm glad to be a part of it. um, we on the Discord. Tap into the Discord community. uh, like it matters that we have these exchanges. It matters that we you know get to have this time.
Yeah.
um, Everybody's story is worth being heard, and just do some storytelling, tell each other our stories.
Yeah, and to get it connected to the Discord again for those that are interested. That is 415-903-7699. I repeat, 415-903-7699. 41
Text the
Fizzle
number. Text the number.
3769. Text. That is the Lyrical Ones Discord. Get involved, get connected. I just wanted to kind of add on to that. You know, uh, people seek positivity, people seek enlightenment, people seek so many things, and what we're doing is we're trying to just give a space for healing and acknowledging what harm exists and all the different ways that we are able to find a way to resolve that, to repair that, to restore ourselves from those things, because you know you know we can make so much. And I think that at this time it's one of those things where I had to take a momentary pause to allow, to give space, to create space, because we're a community, right? Like, we are community people, and a part of the community means that Fego is dropping in. Fego, welcome to Lyrical Ones. How you been? You muted.
Hey, I said I'm better now seeing you guys. Definitely, it's encouraging to see you guys still cooking, man. Consistency, yeah, man. You guys are definitely the definition of that. So,
No, right on. I mean,
salute you
we
guys.
rocking for the people. We got to be here for the people, because at the end of the day, consistency is key. The day is gonna keep coming, right? The hours will keep turning, and for us, it's important to be here, to have this space, to share this space, and try to create some sense of positivity through all the struggles that we face. And that's just kind of where we at. So where you at? What's going on? What's happening?
Man, Christian said, Cross said, come through, tap in with the folks, and let them know that the video's dropping on the 21st.
Bigo, it is it's in Brazil and Paraguay. It is the 21st.
Oh, so that thing should be
In
out by
Hong
now.
Kong, in Hong Kong, it is the 21st,
You're
bruh.
right about that. Well,
It's birthday season, bruh.
yeah, man. We here, man. Yeah, I made it. The big, Reggie Miller number.
Happy life anniversary, bruh.
Right on, man. Yeah, I'm grateful, man. We here. Uh, it's been one of those. This birthday it's around the corner. It feels different from, obviously. I think everyone having COVID birthdays is experiencing it differently, you know. But yeah, man, I'm thankful, bro. We here. Heaven knows I got some dope cameos there. You were there in spirit, Alex. Literally, not, what I'm saying. I seen you from a
I was
distance as
behind the camera.
yeah,
I was
as I
behind the
was,
camera.
obnoxiously, yelling the lyrics out loud. But Sineo definitely pulled up. Yeah, it's a family affair. So I was grateful that that day worked out, and now we have this visual work of art to present tomorrow, and I felt it was appropriate for my B day.
Yes. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Heaven knows the video dropping. It's a great song. Uh, I feel like sometimes we do got to create that heaven on earth, um, and we create it with the diversity and the complex lives that we share together. Complex, our experiences are all different, and when the change comes, heaven knows when.
Yep. That's it. I mean, you kind of you hit it on the money right there. It definitely is a representation of, like, I don't have the answers, but I believe heaven knows. You know what I mean? And
That's right.
I think, yeah, during this time, you think about all these scientists getting together, trying to figure out how do we cure this thing, and all these things, and politicians and presidents being elected. At the end of the day, like, I feel like it's beyond human control what's to happen. And that's just, what I'm saying. I try to, it humbles me too, because I could make all the plans in the world, but shoot, I don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. So yeah, man, that's the whole thing behind that. And I was just grateful to bring my folks in it. And I haven't created a video in a long time, and it just was dope to bring the right people together for it. So yeah, man.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel
Definitely
that.
was a dope experience. It was dope to see, kind of, everybody come together and get involved and give their contribution, share their energy. What I wanted to know was, how did you come up with the song, right? The concept, like, how did it hit you? I mean, of course, it was made in this time period that we live in now.
Yeah.
But I mean, you have a lot of themes that are shared between songs. And
Mhm.
I think, for those that are listening, where does that come from? Why is it that way with you and your message and how you create your messages?
Yeah. No, that's a good question. I mean, dude, I'm gonna just say the lyrics. Like R.I.P. Frisco, my dog passed away. I'm feeling nostalgic. Oh, what a day. You were my best friend in so many ways. Just a reminder we all go away. Gotta go on till I go see the gates. I seen the light. Sorry, I'm late. You know what I mean? Like, it's literally my dog died, and I didn't process that until like a year or 2 years later, because like it's a trip, man. Like how animals could also play a role in your life and understanding life and death. I had that dog since I was like 17, and he passed away when I was like 27, 28. And like 2 years later, I just was able to like, that little line was a form of me healing from it. And from there, just reflecting on the fact that we all have a day, you know what I mean? And yeah, not to get like emo about it or whatever. I don't think it's even meant to be emo, to be honest. I think it's just,
Nah.
you know what I'm saying? If anything, for those that believe, it's like when you pass from this life, you really living, you know what I mean? And you know, I don't know if you guys watch Soul. I keep referring to this movie Soul. It did something to me. But I would say if Pixar, I think they created it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they gave me the opportunity to somehow have that be part of the soundtrack for part two or something, that's how strongly I feel about about the song. That I feel like it deals with that theme of like understanding that we're not here forever, and you know what I mean, like heaven knows.
Yep.
So yeah. So
Shout
anyways,
shout out to Emeryville.
that's where it came from. And I said like I talk about I reference politicians. Don't matter if you're a poet, the police, or a politician. One day it's all over. I'm hoping you listen. You know what I'm saying? Like it's this idea of like everyone seems to like hold on to an identity or to like, oh, this person's gonna make it all better. It's like, man, if history hasn't shown us something, if history has shown us something, is that all men fall short. You know what I mean? And if you put your trust in, man, that this one guy or this person is gonna fix it all, I think yeah, man, you might run into some challenges there. Um,
No,
yeah.
definitely. We definitely had our fair share of communicating that on various levels before you got on here, because
Oh, word. Okay, so I
it
hope
is
this is like in some ways aligned.
it's very aligned.
Yeah,
Whether you put in faith in God or you put in faith in yourself, right?
yeah.
You have to be very careful and cautious of how much faith you put in another person,
Hmm.
right? Because you're the intermediary in this situation in a lot of ways, right? Where you put that faith, right? Where you understand the balance is so crucial, because your capacity for knowledge is limited, right? And
Hmm.
so, like listening to your song, it definitely helps me like think about like what are my things that I need to work on, right? What are my things that I can get a hold of, that I can grasp? Because I do live in a world where it's exceedingly easy for people to look to someone else instead of looking within, right?
Mm.
And when you look within, right, like I'm open to to everyone having their own exploration of what that is, right? Whether it's your faith in a deity or whether it's your faith in your identity, right? It's understanding like what is that relationship like within yourself,
Mhm.
getting in touch with yourself and knowing your true authentic self, because only then can you really start asking what it is you need over what it is you want. And a lot of times we get so wrapped up in the want, we forget that could go by the wayside, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like, like you hitting on the head, because when I heard that line, like to me, it's it's a different relationship, right? Like the opening line about, Frisco, RP Frisco, my dog has like I have to think about my own dog. I got to think about, like the relationship, the companionship, that loyalty, this kind of like there's so much communication that happens where it's almost you in the vocal form it's one way, but it's really not, right? Like from every whimper, from every bark, from every little moment, you can decipher what is going on with this entity that
Yeah.
we don't have a one-to-one translation of what we're trying to communicate to each other, right?
Yeah.
But when I scratch your favorite spot on the dog gonna wag its tail or gonna move its leg and go nuts, right? And it's like you don't forget all those little things, those little moments, right? And I think that just having something that's like so profound in a song that kind of just hits it on the head, you gotta you for me personally, it just took me back. It brought me back to all these different moments and memories. And I think that's that's one of the joys and beauties of music is like you're able to put it out there and you don't know how people are going to receive it. You don't know how they're going to process and digest what you got to give. And I think that was like so good. Like the song, like the music you've been putting out been so good, just in a general scope, right? And heaven knows definitely goes in alignment with the so good movement of things that you've been doing. And I think that thematically all of your music piggybacks off of each other, right? Like there's a carryover of this essence and energy that's not only authentically you, but is representative of what people are seeking, right? People always be like, oh, I miss XYZ about hip hop or about music or about, bringing this feeling and it's like, yo, Figo's bringing that. He's giving it to you on the most like authentic, genuine scale where it's not so wrapped up in the mind as much as it's given through the heart. And I think that, it's a testament to what you're doing with your music. And, I can't wait for people to be able to see, for those that are listening, in South Africa or wherever you are in the world, you probably already can see it. Go search it, Fego Navarro, right? Heaven Knows music video. You will get a glimpse of so much in regards to what San Francisco is and what it means to be from this place, and also the idea of community, right? Like we are big on community around here. We always talking about getting involved and being part of the community, and that's because we come from a community. We understand the importance and what it means for us to have our support. So, Figo, I appreciate you, in so many ways being an artist. And is there like what's to come? Like what's next? What's on the agenda?
Man, I want to do a lot of like beyond the music. I'm trying to get, I talked to Cross about this, get my feet wet with the visual side of things and kind of do the behind the camera, write some screenplays. I feel like there's stories to be told. I've even like put it out there, the potential of setting up a studio setup for Lyrical Ones and me being able to support in that. I think, yeah, man, I don't want to ever live. I've always been a fan of film and I don't ever want to limit myself to just like, I'm just a rapper. I think being a all around artist, community worker, I want to expand and yeah, man. So I definitely got more visuals on the way though. And that's where I get to like experiment with that. Like, all right, one day, Lord willing, I create the film, the baby of the film I want to really create. You know what I'm saying? Like the one that really when I go out, you could reference.
I
Um,
mean, don't minimize it. You have, you
yeah,
are an actor. Like you've performed in stage plays, you've been featured in movies.
yeah,
Like you talk about being a artist. Like where do you see kind of the ties that bind of you and getting involved in so many different art forms? Like where does that come from? Like from dancing to acting to rapping to being a songwriter, right? Like a lot of people don't know. Like a lot of the hooks that are sung, you write those, right?
yeah,
Like you actually are so involved in the process of how the singers are going to sing it. So you're not just limited in your ability to deliver on what you do, you're also giving space and creating space for others. So where's all this artistic energy and this artistic merit come from? Like what is that? How did that happen?
man. I think it's just something I had since a kid, man. Like just you hear it all the time. Like the love of it came at an early age, from from being at church battling cats to like making Star Wars movies like in elementary school with my cousin and wanting to like, what I'm saying, recreate Star Wars films. And like, what I mean? I got those joints from back in the day. So I think I always found beauty in telling stories and a fan of music. Like, I love oldies. I love soul music. I love cumbia. I love like just all the music that I was fortunate enough that my parents, listened to, from like Fleetwood Mac to like freaking, Selena. You know what I mean? Like it just ranges from different genres, and I always like geek out when I hear certain music. I'm like, ooh, what if I would have tried to sing it this way? I can't really hit that note, but I know somebody who can. And I appreciate
Nice.
you sharing that because I love working with singers.
No, definitely, definitely. I mean, it's just it's crazy because we've been able to have, the ability to work with each other for a long time and to
Yeah,
see
man.
the growth and you expand in all these different areas and be able to like showcase and display your skills and your talent is, it's remarkable because it's easy for people to take it for granted. You just like me work in the community, right? You understand like what it means to be a service to those that have challenges and barriers and helping them overcome those things. But at the same time, like, ain't nobody running up on you like a $20 million contract on some Tom Cruise level where it's like, hey, we want you to work with Universal and right? Or dropping we want to give you a $2 million record deal, right? And it's like, what a part of that comes from the level of sacrifice you make by being bound to your home, right? Like by knowing like I was in a movie. We went to a film festival. We were able to travel. Right, I was in a project. I was able to work with so and so artists or share the stage with XYZ and hold my own.
Yep.
At the same time, I'm still responsible to my people. And so, where does that responsibility come from? Right, you see the artistic side. It was like it was just you just had the bug, you had the itch, right? Where you were
Hmm.
like, we're just gonna make movies. Okay, so where does it come into play? Where it's like, okay, I'm gonna be a service to the people. Where did that come from?
Hmm. Man, I was just with him, but my pops, I think, having my dad, uh, yeah, he just placed. I was just having this conversation with a friend of even when I was a kid and I had all these toys, right? Like any action figure I wanted, whatever. Like I go to the store, Ninja Turtles. My pops is like, all right, here. I lost quite a few. I have these vivid memories. But as I would get these toys, he would always tell me, he's like, you have all these toys, but just know that some kids only even got one of these toys. They just want one of them,
Mm,
and you got this collection. And I think placing those like values and morals and understanding of the world, like I was like, wait, what you mean? How come they don't got, what I'm saying, the Super Nintendo? For those 90s babies, know that the Super Nintendo was at Toys R Us, and if you got it, it came with Super Mario Bros. And it came, what I'm saying? But those were moments that I got exposed during my childhood to go to El Salvador. And then I really got, not only did I hear my dad talk about it, but now I was seeing it firsthand. Kids with no shoes and, sniffing glue because their hunger. So, like over there in certain third world countries, kids sniff glue because they're hungry and the glue gets them high enough to not feel that hunger. And seeing these things at an early age, folks would be like, "Oh, that's trauma." That's like for me, it was a lot of it was actually a blessing in disguise. It was lessons to see that people out there are really suffering, and I carry that with me. You feel me? So to this day, I'm always like, when I eat, I say my grace, say my prayers because I know that others, even a plate of food is something that they can't even, get to. So yeah, I would just say the lessons that I learned through my dad and that were huge. And my mom's also spoke about her upbringing. She was in the Geneva Towers at some point on the army projects and on Valencia, the gardens there. All these like she was moving around a lot, and she would just the the way she describes what she went through also reminds me like, yo, like I come from a bloodline that has to struggle and sacrifice to get for me to be here. So yeah, man, I just have to bring it back
yeah.
home with that.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up the Geneva Towers and the
Yeah.
OG Valencia Gardens
Mm-hmm.
before they remodeled it. You brought up Army Street before they destroyed it. Every place he just said no longer exists in the same capacity. It exists in terms of people living there. It don't exist in how it was. Right? Geneva Towers was a gigantic building. It was towers. It was plural, more than one building, but it was an area that was known for a lot of like when we talk about adverse experiences and challenges living in the hood, like it don't get no more graphic in terms of the disparity and the level of poverty and the challenge of what people had to go through, right? Like we're talking about death, we're talking about drugs, we're talking about everything you could think of when it comes to the illegal side of things, right? And it's not to romanticize it, it's to say that people really went through a lot. And we got to look to, we were just talking about politics. We talking about, the people who are lifelong politicians, right? And like, we could look no further than like seeing the way that San Francisco is now, where, yeah, like a lot of people who are people of color who lived in those neighborhoods, right? They found ways to reduce that number, or they now have switched it from being like public housing for it to being like it's privately owned, but there's a portion that's dedicated to people that are low income, right? And it's not the same. It's not the same at all. But it is to say that, being mindful of working in a community, you know firsthand how those things impact you. You know how they impact the people around you, and now impact a new generation. And so, what were your thoughts and feelings on how this day went? Right. I'm sure you were at work. I'm sure people were celebrating. I'm sure there was some happy, joy, happy, joy moments of just kind of elation. But for you, being a person who understands the complexities of life in your own way, what was today like?
Oh man, I mean, Alex brought up the global time, the clock. You know what I mean? And for me, it's like, it's interesting. I think it's a love hate thing with being even informed of what's going on in our political climate. Um, Part of me doesn't a lot of times want to know, but I have to, because I feel like it's affecting me one way or the other. I'm gonna say this: I hope for the best, and I think it's easy to be like, say all the other things that come along with this conversation. Looking at the history of how this country has been founded. You know what I mean? Because like I feel like it's, as much as we try to ignore it, it's important to look at the history of how this has been founded, to even look at
Yeah.
what's currently happening. Um, so, anyways, I say all that to say this is that I hope for the best. I'm not a fan of J Lo, and my
Hey,
mom
hey, hey,
likes
hey, hey, hey.
J Lo. So
Ain't
Jenny
nothing
from the
wrong with
block.
that.
I'm just playing. I didn't even watch it, to keep it a buck, but I know who won, and salute to them. I hope the children that are in cages are let free. I hope that the folks that are going through this legal process and getting here, those things get handled properly. And I hope
Yeah.
this organization, this group, creates a change we want to see. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. I'm just leave it at that.
No, much appreciated, much appreciated. For those that know,
Thank you, Fego Navarro.
thank you. I just want people to know what
Thank
we're talking about when we're talking about what we're talking about.
you. Yeah,
It's important.
yeah.
Mic check, 1, 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Frisco.
It's I've got to go
Hey.
Stay strong.
without you.
Word.
R.I.P. Bristol, my dog passed away. Feeling nostalgic over the day. You were my best friend in so many ways. Just a reminder, we all go away. Gotta go on till I go see the gates. I've seen the light, sorry I'm late. Caught up in all of the things that I chase. Some days I'm lost in the haze. Think about NASA, I'll be in space. Looking at stars, I'm so amazed. How'd they get up there? How did they stay? Shining so bright, but later they fade. Sorta like humans, you know what I'm saying. The picture I'm painting, what can I say? Gotta be brave. Are these the last days? Telling myself it's gonna be okay. I'm optimistic, I'm lyrically gifted, I'm rapping like Christmas, man, I'm on a mission. I got ammunition for my opposition. I'm sharing my art, I do not need permission. This is my life, take a second and listen. No matter if you Jew, Muslim or Christian, a poet, the police, or a politician. One day it's all over, I'm hoping you listen. Way that they conquer is causing division, creating them borders to keep us all distant. Think that I'm tripping, but really I'm thinking. Through this composition, I'm sharing my vision. Tired of wishing, and you see me glisten. Look in the mirror, that's my competition. I practice, it's all repetition. For my expedition, make sure you get tickets.
Without you, but only heaven up above knows how.
That is out on all streaming platforms. Go get your issue, right? It's on every available digital service provider of music and streaming. You can listen to it now. You don't have to wait for the music video to enjoy it and to put it on your playlist, to save that, to make it a part of your wellness. When you get ready in the mornings to deal with work, go to work, or have the search of a job, it's available to you to enjoy, right? So, that's Heaven Knows by Figo, right? We just had to, give y'all a verse one time. But it's just it's great to have you here, being a part of the Lyrical Ones, being a part of the Lyrical Opposition family, and just all the good work that you do, both as an artist, but also a human, right? You just a human on this planet doing what you can, and it's appreciated. And we thank you, and we just we here to see you grow and celebrate you. So keep doing your
Wow.
thing.
Yes, sir. Thank you, both
Yeah.
of y'all,
So
man. Y'all my real talk inspiration. I I constantly, yeah, I'll be tuning in, man. Just know that. You guys have seen me on the chat here before too. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
for
man.
sure. No, we appreciate you.
It definitely I'll be I'll be driving with my lady. I'll be like, these my friends right here, dropping gems. So yeah, man, I need it. It's definitely like it's super intentional. Like, bruh, I could talk to you guys offline. I just I see many folks already being affected by the words that you guys are putting out there. So salute to you guys, bro. For real, for real.
not much appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. You got any final words for the people? Anything, how they could find you, where they could find you at?
Yeah, man. So it's Fego Navarro, on everything. Shout out Lyrical Opposition. It's the squad, the fam. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Sineo, Alex Osborne. You know what I mean? You know the vibes. Yeah, these are my folks, man. You can check us all out because we moving like a collective. 2021, we coming for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Love, pure love. You know what I mean?
No, that's real. That's real. It's much appreciated, man. Get connected. We out here, we making it happen little by little. But that's Navarro. That's FegoNavarro. That's Fego Navarro.
Thank you.
Get in touch, stay connected. Support the movement. I don't want to hear y'all yapping about I miss the old Kanye or what happened to the good old days of hip hop. Look, the good old days evolved and it grew and it's here right here in front of you. Like, stop playing. Like, stop the whole rhetoric, like, oh, the good old days of music. Did you not just listen to what we just played? Like, we talking about classics for this generation, right? Put your babies on, right? This is something your babies can listen to. Wasn't one cuss word in the whole verse. Y'all tripping. Now, when I come to my music, it's gonna be some cuss words. Just not every song. Just like Weak, it's out right now. Y'all can listen to that, and you can put your babies on, and it ain't gonna nothing wrong with it. But I'm just saying, right? Y'all to complain all the time about music. We here. Like, I don't want to hear it. Like, the beats ain't this. Did you hear the beat? Like, come on. I just made Let's Get a Gospel for y'all, but y'all want to play and act like it ain't real, right? He just made Thankful. He just made Heaven Knows. He just made so many songs, and y'all want to sit here and be like, where the good music at? What's right here, okay? Tell somebody, tell a friend, tell your mama, tell your cousin, tell your auntie, tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your daddy, tell your uncle. Let them know, okay? Music is here. Great music is here. All right, I don't want to hear that no more.
We thank y'all lyrical ones for listening. We are all lyrical ones. We all got a story to tell. We all got a voice to find and express and tell our stories. We hope that you listen.
And I hope that y'all really talk to us, reach out to us, any three of us, anybody under the Lyrical Ones, Lyrical Opposition umbrella, text the Discord, a week off. We together will decide a week off, a week away from social media together. We're going to do it together. We're going to try and get as many people together as we can. The movement starts now, right? LO week off. For real. I want to see people come together under this so we can show the power of unity, the power of community, the power of togetherness when we decide we no longer going to participate in the systems that they gave us. Just for a week, not forever. I know the addiction's real, but let's take a week off together. So
I love that.
As it's usually at this time, I go for mine. So I'm gonna do it.
One, 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 one.